Hey guys, here we are coming back with chapter 21 called Tricks and Temptations. And if you'll recall, yesterday at the end of the chapter, Harvey finally came face to face with Mr. Hood, although it was kind of a strange thing because his face was the ceiling of the attic, or in the ceiling of the attic. And Harvey ended up getting away from Karna by reaching out to touch her and just show her some gentleness and kindness. And that seemed to destroy her, which really was a good thing because it sounded like she was in a lot of misery. So we're going to pick up there and see what happens. Harvey had escaped down out of the attic, and here we go. "You've done well," said the smiling face awaiting him at the top of the stairs. "I wondered where you'd gone to," Harvey said to Rictus. "Always ready to serve," came the unctuous reply. "Really?" said Harvey, stepping down off the chair and approaching the creature. "Of course," said Rictus. "Always." Now that was closer to the man, Harvey saw. Now that he was closer to the man, he saw the cracks in his veneer. He was plastering on a smile and smothering his words in butter and honey, but it was the sour smell of fear that oozed from his sickly skin. "You're afraid of me, aren't you?" Harvey said. "No, no," Rictus insisted. "I'm respectful, that's all. Mr. Hood thinks you're a bright boy. He's instructed me to offer whatever you want to make you stay." He spread his arms. "The sky's the limit." "You know what I want." "Anything but the years, thief. You can't have those. You won't even need them if you stay and become Mr. Hood's apprentice. You'll live forever, just like him." He dabbed at the sweat beads on his upper lip with a yellowed handkerchief. "Think about it," he said. "You might be able to kill the likes of Karna or me, but you'll never hurt Hood. He's too old, too wise, too dead." "If I stayed," Harvey said. Rictus's grin spread. "Yes," he purred. "Would the children in the lake go free?" "Why bother about them?" "Because one of them was my friend," Harvey reminded him. "Ah, you're thinking of little Lulu, aren't you?" Rictus said. "Well, let me tell you, she's very happy down there. They all are." "No, they're not," Harvey raged. "The lake's foul, and you know it." He took a step toward Rictus, who retreated as if in fear of his life, which perhaps he was. "How would you like it?" Harvey said, stabbing his finger in Rictus's direction, "living in that cold and the dark lake?" "Oh, you're right," said Rictus, raising his hands in surrender. "Whatever you say." "I say set them free now," Harvey replied, "and if you won't, then I will." He pushed Rictus aside and started down the stairs, two at a time. He didn't have a clue what he was going to do when he got down to the lake. Fish were fish, after all, even if they'd once been children. If he tried to take them out of the lake, they'd surely drown in the air. But he was determined to somehow save them from Hood. Rictus came after him down the flight, chattering like a clockwork salesman. "What do you want?" he said. "Just imagine it, and it's yours. How about your own motorcycle?" As he spoke, something gleamed on the landing below, and the sleekest motorcycle human eyes had ever seen rolled into view. "It's yours, my boy," Rictus said. "No, thanks," Harvey said. "I don't blame you," Rictus said, kicking the motorcycle over as he sailed past it. "How about books? Do you like books?" Before Harvey could reply, the wall in front of him lifted like a great brick curtain, revealing shelf upon shelf of leather-bound volumes. "The masterpieces of the world," Rictus said, "from Aristotle to Zola. No?" "No," said Harvey, hurrying on. "There's got to be something you want," Rictus said. They were heading toward the final flight of stairs now, and Rictus knew he didn't have very long before his prey was out in the open air. "You like dogs," Rictus said, as a litter of yapping pups scampered up the stairs. "Pick one. Heck, have 'em all." Harvey was tempted, but he stepped over them and on. "Ah, something more exotic, maybe," Rictus said, as a flock of brilliantly feathered parrots descended from the ceiling. Harvey waved them away. "Too noisy, huh?" said Rictus. "You want something quiet and powerful. Tigers, that's what you want. Tigers." No sooner than they padded into the view of the hallway below, two white tigers with eyes polished like gold. Nowhere to keep 'em, Harvey said. That's practical, Rictus conceded. I like a practical kid. Wow, so it sounds like there's nothing that Rictus can't conjure up, doesn't it? Listen to this, he said. It's the president. He wants to give you a medal. No, he doesn't, Harvey said, tiring of this rigmarole now. He was at the bottom of the stairs and crossing to the front door. You're right, said Rictus, ear to the phone again. He wants to give you an oil field in Alaska. Harvey kept walking. No, I got that wrong. He wants to give you Alaska. Too cold. He says, well, how about Florida then? Too hot. Boy, you're a difficult guy to please, Harvey Swick. Harvey ignored him and turned the handle of the front door. Rictus slammed down the phone and raced toward him. Wait up, he hollered. Wait up, I'm not done yet. Wow, why do you think Rictus is trying so hard to make Harvey happy? Must be pretty scared of him, huh? You've got nothing I want, Harvey said, hauling open the front door. They're all fakes. What if they are? Said Rictus, suddenly hushed. So's the sun out there. You can still enjoy it. And let me tell you, it takes a lot of magic to conjure up all these shams and hoaxes. Mr. Hood's really sweating to find you something you like. Ah, so it's not Rictus conjuring up these things, it's Mr. Hood. Ignoring him, Harvey stepped out onto the porch. Mrs. Griffin was standing on the lawn with Stu Cat in her arms, squinting up at the house. She smiled when she saw Harvey emerge. Oh, I heard such noises, she said. What's been going on in there? I'll tell you later, Harvey said. Where's Wendell? He wandered off, she said. Harvey cupped his hands around his mouth and yelled, Wendell! Wendell! His voice came back to him from the face of the house, but there was no reply from Wendell. It's a warm afternoon, said Rictus, idling on the porch. Maybe he went swimming. Oh, no, Harvey muttered. No, not Wendell. Please, not Wendell. Rictus shrugged. He was a goofy little kid anyhow, he said. He'll probably look better as a fish. No, Harvey yelled up at the house. This isn't fair. You can't do this. You can't. Tears started to cloud his eyes. He wiped them away with his fists. They were both useless. Fists and tears. He couldn't soften Hood's heart with weeping, and he couldn't bring down the house with blows. He had no weapon against the enemy but his wits, and his wits were about at an end. Just like this chapter is. Okay, so that is the end. Next chapter is called 22, or is 22, and it's called Appetite. You know what it means to have an appetite? It means you're hungry or you want something. Now, Harvey said he couldn't bring down the house with blows. Blows means like your fists or your kicks. He can't beat it with his fists or his feet, kicking it, beating it. And he has no enemy but his wits. Now, that means his smarts. But he says his wits or his smarts were about at an end. So in other words, he's running out of ideas. I mean, what could he possibly do to defeat Mr. Hood in the house, right? It's kind of a tough call. Maybe you got an idea. What could he do to defeat the house? Think about that. Also, don't forget your reading response today and get that sent. Let's see, tomorrow is Wednesday, right? Yeah. So you can fill it out tomorrow, be ready to discuss, and then we'll share them on Thursday when you finish your last one. All right. That's it for today.